In the middle of the 20th century, humanity unlocked the power of the atom. We were told it was for peace, for science, for defense. But what followed was not peace. It was a storm of fire and radiation, unleashed across deserts, oceans, and skies, from the United States to Russia, from the Pacific Islands to the heart of Asia. This is not just a story of explosions. It's the story of lives shattered, lands poisoned, and a silence that still echoes today. Before we go any further, it's crucial to make one thing clear. Nuclear testing is not the same as missile testing, though the two are often confused. Nuclear testing means detonating an actual nuclear device. A real explosion that releases radiation and contaminates the land, air, and water. It's the testing of the weapon itself. Missile testing, on the other hand, is about the delivery system, the rocket that could carry a nuclear warhead. These tests check flight range and accuracy, but they do not involve a nuclear blast. So when you hear that a country has tested a missile, it doesn't mean a nuclear explosion has occurred. It means they've tested the machine that could deliver one. The devastation we are about to discuss comes from nuclear testing, the actual detonations that scarred the Earth and the lives of millions. Between 1945 and 1996, more than 2,000 nuclear weapons were tested across the globe. Each detonation was a raw display of power, a symbol of dominance in the race for nuclear supremacy. In the deserts of Nevada, atomic fireballs lit up the night sky, brighter than the sun. In the frozen steppes of Kazakhstan and Siberia, the ground shook under Soviet experiments. In the turquoise waters of the Pacific, entire coral islands were vaporized into dust. These were hailed as scientific achievements, triumphs of human ingenuity. But beneath the triumph lay a deep, dark tragedy. For every mushroom cloud that rose into the sky, there were people living beneath it, breathing the fallout, drinking the water, living their lives in its shadow. They were farmers, fishermen, herders, mothers, and children. Just ordinary people, living downwind of history. In the Marshall Islands, children played in the strange white ash that fell from the sky, believing it was snow. In Kazakhstan, villagers near the Semipalatinsk test site watched the horizon glow, completely unaware that an invisible death was seeping into their soil and their blood. In America, entire communities downwind of the Nevada test site inhaled radioactive dust carried by the wind for hundreds of miles. Governments told them it was safe. They were told to trust, to carry on, to wave flags of progress. But the truth was far darker. In the years that followed, cancer rates soared. Babies were born with heartbreaking deformities. Families buried their loved ones without ever truly knowing why. The human body had become a silent battlefield of the nuclear age. And the Earth, too, bore its scars. The deserts of Nevada are still pockmarked with craters from detonations that shattered the ground. In Kazakhstan, vast stretches of land remain poisoned, its rivers and lakes still whispering with radiation. Bikini Atoll, once a tropical paradise, is now a forbidden zone where fruit cannot be eaten and water cannot be drunk. Radioactive particles, cesium, strontium, plutonium, persist in the soil, in the sea, and in the very bones of every living thing. Even today, scientists can trace the chemical fingerprints of those tests in the marrow of people born long after the explosion stopped. The Earth remembers what we try so hard to forget. For decades, the victims were silenced. Governments denied, dismissed, and concealed the truth. Those who suffered were told their pain was imaginary, their illnesses just a coincidence. But they refused to disappear. From the Marshall Islands to French Polynesia, from Nevada to Kazakhstan, survivors began to speak out. They demanded recognition, accountability, and justice. Eventually, some nations began to listen. Apologies were issued. Compensation was offered. But how do you repay generations of loss? How do you restore land that still glows with an invisible poison? The truth is, you cannot. You can only remember. You can only learn. In 1996, the world made a promise, a treaty to end all nuclear testing. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty became a symbol of global resolve. But decades later, that promise remains incomplete. Some nations have never signed, others have never ratified it. And so the world continues to live under the shadow of the atom, its silence heavy with the threat of what could return. Yet amid the silence, there is hope. In the same lands once scorched by atomic fire, new generations are planting trees. Scientists are studying radiation not to build weapons but to heal the earth. Activists teach, write, and remember so that this story of destruction may become a lesson in preservation. The legacy of nuclear testing is not just a warning of what we have done. It is a mirror held up to who we are. It asks us to choose between memory and denial, between destruction and compassion, between fear and peace. Because the echoes of the atom still haunt our world. They live in the soil, in the oceans, and in the bones of humankind. But within those echoes lies a message, a plea whispered through generations. That humanity's greatest strength is not in its power to destroy, but in its capacity to remember, to heal, and to choose life. In memory of all victims of nuclear testing, past, present, and future. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the events that have shaped our world.